Amazing. I just want to say, because I've been doing this, I failed to hit record at first. So, like,
I do that all the time, actually. That is literally
I
my
was,
thing. I'm
yeah, I'm
glad to
sitting
see I'm
here.
not the only one who does that.
Yeah,
So
like it's like the simple things, like showing up on time, I can do that. Doing all the things I could do that, but like hitting record, absolutely not. Like that makes way too much sense. Why would I do
yeah.
that? So anyways, as you all are aware, this is my 32 fan series thing that I'm working on. I had a hard time finding a Rams fan. However, this very gracious human responded to my random DM on Twitter and was willing to talk to me all things Rams. And I'm super excited because I will be honest, I've checked out some of your work. I've checked out some of your videos. I follow you. So I just wanted to make sure I was also talking to somebody that was a real fan. So if you want to just like introduce yourself, you can tell us as much or as little as you want to. This is your
Yeah.
time. And then we'll just start talking about your fandom, or you can answer the question of why you became a fan and how long you became a fan.
Yeah, well, I'm a guy from New Jersey. I'm LaQuan Jones, and it sounds crazy to be a Rams fan from New Jersey, but I'm probably the 1% that's over there. But yeah, I've been a Rams fan for a very, very long time. I mean, the greatest show on turf we go back to, and it's like I even stayed loyal through the hard times and when we were losing games and the Jeff Fisher era and all that. And
Oh,
it's
Jeff
like
Fisher.
I'm gonna stick it through because I see a ring on the way. But more or less, like my fandom, like it came at a random because to be honest, some people don't know that soccer is actually my main sport that I love, that I played.
Okay.
And then Rams happened to just be the first football game I've ever seen. It was just on
Hmm.
TV. I can't really remember where I was at, but I was very young. And like you're like watching the game and you see them score all these points, and you see Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. You're just like, this is an overloaded of an offense. You're like, I like this team, and then just to see them go to the Super Bowl that year and actually beat
Mm.
Jeff Fisher, Mike Jones to tackle, the big moment. And it was just like, oh, I like a Super Bowl winning team. Like, let's go. And I just stayed loyal from there all these years, after. And, working, I now work for the NFL Network. And to move from New Jersey to live in LA and work right next to SoFi Stadium and see the Rams play and just be here in the culture where I'm accepted because we're all Rams fans, and like
Yeah.
just an amazing journey and just an amazing team to follow and have the passion for.
I love that. So how did you feel about the move from St. Louis to LA? Being a fan, were you kind of like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
okay, whatever.
Okay,
What? Let's
cool.
go. Like,
Yeah.
like it didn't matter to me. I mean, I'm a kid from New Jersey. Like, okay, I see why you guys are mad, but it's still the Rams, still the same
Yeah.
team.
It's your
Like,
team. Yeah.
I don't care if they
I
play
love
in
that.
Japan. They could be the Japan Rams, and I'm still a fan. I'm over there in Tokyo with the
Yeah.
Rams jersey and everything. Like,
You're
we over
you're
there.
like, we're going to Japan.
We're going
I
to
love
Japan.
that.
We're going to. It doesn't matter. I'm there.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I always say some people are more like player fans, and
Yeah.
I am like a program fan. Like I'm a Steelers. I'm a huge like let's go Steelers. Like whoever it is, whatever it means, like that's my team. So I feel you on that. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the retirement that is the greatest of all time, Aaron Donald. Today is his birthday.
Yeah.
So
Happy
happy
birthday,
birthday
my
to
guy.
that man. How did you feel? Did you know it was coming? I felt like I heard like rumblings
Yeah.
last year. I feel like that he was kind after the Super Bowl that he was kind of thinking about it and different things like that.
Yeah.
So were you all shocked? How did you feel when you heard I'm going to say officially retired because now
Yeah.
I'm hearing that he might be thinking
I don't
about.
know. I hate this. I hate the Brady little. I'm retired, but not really. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I would say I wasn't shocked when it was finally happening because we kind of heard the rumbles and you kind of got an idea. And I felt like after that last Super Bowl loss to the Patriots, it was kind of like, man, I think he might hang it up. He might,
Yeah.
'cause it just seems like we get there and we can't. And he's one of them dogs in the trenches that was in St. Louis at the Edward Jones Bowl. Like he already know how hard it was to win and to get
Yep.
to this point and lose. Like that probably takes all the passion, all the love and struggle, going back and knowing the hard work it takes. But for us to come back and come away with the ring and just send him off perfectly. It's like, man, like he earned it, man. Like I wouldn't be mad if he wouldn't come back. You know, I would love to have him back this season because it's gonna be weird not seeing him on the field, right? Like
there's a lot of people I feel like it's going to be weird. I mean, the
yeah,
Eagles also had some people that it's just like you just know them to be a part of the Eagles and
yeah,
they're just not.
no,
There's just Tom Brady being in the booth. Like what?
like
What
I
do
don't know how
yeah,
I
like
feel about that yet.
like what are we doing?
I don't know.
So yeah, I hear you. And you know what? I will say the one thing I always appreciate about Aaron Donald is he was always undersized. But you didn't know he was undersized unless you knew he was
Yeah,
undersized. And I respect that because it's
yeah,
like, I mean, even the videos they showed in his retirement, and you're like, oh, okay, he was getting held there. Oh, okay.
yeah.
All three of them were holding him
All
there.
four of
Oh,
them.
okay. Yeah. Yes. Like, oh, okay. And then
Yeah,
so it's like, I don't know. I think that some people, we don't recognize their greatness until we don't see it anymore.
yeah,
And, some people say that about LeBron. So, so anyway, so Aaron Donald, listen, if you hear this and you want to come back, I don't care if
no,
it's against my team. Well, I'll welcome you back to the NFL with open arms. So
yeah,
do you, whatever makes you feel good. And so my other question is, and I'm just going to get it out since before we jump into the current team,
yeah,
I told you before we hit record, I'm a Colorado Buffaloes fan. I'm on the bandwagon. Shedeur is going to be draft eligible. He's already draft eligible, but we think he's going to come out next year.
yeah.
I have been looking and stalking teams and looking at quarterbacks and kind of looking at rosters, and I feel like the Rams could be a landing spot. How do you feel about that? I don't know how much familiarity you have with Shedeur Sanders, but I would just love to know like your thoughts being a Rams fan. How would you feel if he became a Rams person,
I think he
quarterback?
would be. I think he will fit. I think he will
Okay.
fit. I mean, we honestly do need to have somewhat of depth there at that position. Like we had Carson Wentz last year, we have Jimmy G this year. We drafted Stenson Bennett. We don't really know where he's at in his
Yeah.
development, but I wouldn't be mad at that if we went out and got him. I mean, he'll love LA. You know who his dad
Yeah.
is. He's high, flashy. Like he will fit exactly in. And the dude's talented. And I would love to see another year of him to see how furthermore, his development gets and how much better he gets. And when he becomes, available on the board and we take him, I'll be pretty happy with it, to be honest.
Nice. Yeah. Like it's, again, I always tell people it's one of those things. I'm like, college is not the NFL, but people can still kind of look and it's like window shopping. You can kind
Yeah.
of see, who's good and who's kind of, and you can kind of be
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I want my team to be good. I don't want my team to get a guy like that because that
Yeah.
would mean didn't go like we hoped it went.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So tell me, how did you all do in free agency? Obviously, losing Aaron Donald is a thing. You can't
Yeah.
ever replace him. But how do you feel like you all did with filling in for what you were lacking last year? How do you feel like overall you did in free agency?
I think we hit it out of the park, to be honest. Like we addressed some really concerning areas. I mean, the O line, I think it looks the best it's been, depth
Nice.
wise and just complete front wise that, in the last couple of years since Whitworth has sailed off into retirement as well. So I think this is a healthy O line, and that showed last year with the addition of Kevin Dotson. We go out and get Jonah
Oh,
Jackson
he's a
from Detroit.
Steeler.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. He helped out with that running game, and and like impactful players like Kyron Williams, him being able to do what he was able to do on the ground last year, over 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns. Like he killed it even in the limited time that he was on the field with injuries and stuff. But
Yeah.
free agency, I really wanted them to hit the O-line hard, and that's exactly what we did. We locked up guys like Kevin Dotson, extended him, and then I really feel as though we sprinkled in some secondary help too on defense. Cameron Curl, from Washington. We get our guy Darius Williams back. That was a huge addition. I was actually shocked because I didn't want to see him go. So I was actually to see him to come back. I was proud of him. He went off and got paid, but we just didn't have the funds. Like we just didn't have the money to keep him.
Right, because y'all did the whole like give away the draft picks, pay. Yeah.
We were figuring it out, but hey, we got a ring. So
I was just gonna say, like, I think
Yeah.
any of the 31 other teams, if you told them if you did that exact formula and you can win a Super Bowl, everybody would do it.
Yeah, exactly. you see some teams trying to do it now, and it's like, y'all still in process.
Yeah, the players aren't as good,
Yeah,
so
it's not
it's a
matching.
wash. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but
No.
but they can do it. So what about the draft? How do you feel about your draft picks? How do you feel? I feel like last year you guys have a sneaky way of, similar to the Steelers, is like, we find receivers.
Yeah.
Might not be the guy that everybody thinks is going to be the guy, but then you get the guy, and everyone's like, well, wait a second. Where did
Yeah.
they get him? How did
Yeah.
like
Luke and
so,
Nicole last year, Cooper Cup when we drafted him, like
yeah. So how do you
let's
feel like
see.
you all did the draft this year?
This year, I was really happy that we at least tried to address the D line with Aaron Donald's departure. So getting Verse, getting Fist, that was huge additions back to back. Where I was like, oh yeah, we are back in the mix. We
I
got
love that.
secondary help. Now we can have this pass rush be what we think it is. You got Turner in the middle, and you got Byron Young, who's causing straight chaos on the edge. He was creating a lot of stuff last year that didn't show up on the score, like on the paper, with sacks and all this other stuff, but he was causing straight havoc over there. So I think with the addition of him, with all these draft picks coming in, I think we hit it out of the park.
I love that. Can I just say, I appreciate somebody who mentions the stats that didn't show up on, because I feel like so many times we're like, yeah, but he's rated at this, and I'm like, yeah, but like,
chaos matters.
he
at that
wrecked
position.
havoc. He
Yes.
was in the way.
Pressures, yeah. And I'm telling you, I mean, Byron Young, I think this next season, he'll definitely take a step forward in elevating his game. I think you just have to feel what's in that locker room right now. We hit it out of the park for off season, everybody head down. Oh man, Aaron Donald's gone. And then we crush it in the draft. It's like, oh, we are good. We're back where we are, and guys are healthy. Stafford's good. We got Blake Corum, just in case with Kyron Williams, who's currently dealing with some injuries as well right now. But this is what I'm talking about, where we checked off all the boxes of having guys able to step up now, where we're not calling back Darrell Henderson for the second time to come in to be our backup because he's the best of what's left out there on the streets right now. But it's like when we go to the draft and we address things that we honestly need right now, that sets us up for success. So I think this will be the next era for the Rams, where we're going to attack the draft while also getting guys and getting depth pieces through free agency and just continue on doing what we're doing.
I love that. You mentioned Matthew Stafford. How do you all feel about Matthew Stafford? I feel like he's been around for so long. Yeah. And because he was in Detroit, no one really paid attention because he was in Detroit. And listen, Detroit's turned it around, so I'll give them their kudos.
Yeah.
And then he went to LA, and I feel like it's another team that's like, unless something's happened, it's a little distant. Mm-hmm. How do you all feel about Matthew Stafford going in? What years? Is this like 16, 17?
He's up there. I'll tell you that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I feel like he's been around for a while.
But I feel as though Stafford is one of, like, he gives you what you want in your quarterback. He has the football IQ. He has the toughness. Those are the two main things that you want, out of your quarterback. He's a leader. So it's like he does all these magnificent things on the field because he puts the hard work in. And that's exactly what I want. And this ain't no shade or knock to Jared Goff, because I appreciate what he did for us, but it was just that he was lacking the heart. Like, there was times where I would see him slide right before the first down. Like, dude, you got to take that hit. Like, we need this first down. Like, we're sick of losing. I felt like it just wasn't there. Something wasn't clicking. So obviously the QB change, you get a veteran, you get a dog out of Matthew Stafford, who's been wanting to win for years and years. That he was in Detroit, like trying his hardest, and they just couldn't give him a defense. They couldn't give him a consistent, wide receiver room. And it's like, okay, you get him in LA, he's focused, he's locked in, he feels the winning spirit, because we had a taste of the bowl, we lost, and he was the missing piece. And then obviously the results that we get, he brings home the championship. So Stafford is good forever in my heart.
Yeah, I think that, so this is his 16th season, if my Google is correct. So, which feels about right. I just feel like he's been around for a while. And that's an interesting take on Jared Goff. Again, he's where he is. The swapped work, I think both sides are very happy. Yeah. I think Detroit did for Goff what they wouldn't do for Stafford. And, everybody kind of got what they wanted. So
exactly.
It kind of is what it is. The other thing I'm curious to know, like, just your thoughts on, what are your concerns heading into this year? Obviously, the elephant is gone, for lack of a better way to describe it. But what other concerns would you have this year heading into the season?
The defense. Now, I know we added guys. It's more so that our defense is so young and a lot of undisciplined, plays and stuff and big plays given up in moments. And I feel like they're just young on the stage right now. They're still getting in the rhythm and things are still trying to get locked down because you got to
Okay.
remember we had Taylor Rapp was one of our veterans who went off to Buffalo. Jalen Ramsey went to Miami. So we lost some veteran guys back there and some guys got lost to injury as well. So we're still trying to figure out that secondary. That's always been my biggest concern these last couple of seasons. Once we started dropping guys off, once guys started, getting traded and stuff like that. So it's like it's always the secondary going into the season, my biggest concern. And then obviously next will have to be the health of Cooper Kupp, the health of Stafford, the health of Kyron Williams, impactful players on the offense. And I think now that we have a Blake Corum there, we should be fine. Now that we have a Puka Nakua, we should be fine if said guys come off. And we have Jimmy G in the building, which I keep forgetting he's on our team sometimes. Like when I see the clips, I'm like, hey, yo, that ain't he? Oh, okay, he good.
Jimmy,
He on
one
this
thing
side
about
now.
yeah, I just, you know what? I can appreciate a person I know what I'm going to get from you.
Yeah.
Because everyone's not going to be elite. Everyone's not going to be perfect. Everyone's not going to, but like, let me know what it is that you're giving me, and then I can work with that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I appreciate that. I have a question because I'm actually curious to know how you feel about this. And I didn't prepare you for this, but I think you'll be able to answer it. Do you think Aaron Donald should have won Super Bowl MVP?
Ooh. Yeah,
You do?
absolutely. He
Okay.
he he sealed the deal. Why not? I
Yeah.
think he
No.
should have.
So, yeah, like, yeah. So, just so you know, this is like, how sometimes in your friend groups you have like old arguments, it's the same argument, and you like argue it almost to
Yeah,
the death.
yeah.
And so I feel like this is the one conversation where we haven't been able to let it go, and we
No.
still will randomly, like when he retired, we were like, and he should have been Super Bowl MVP, but
MVP.
it's fine. So I was just curious to know like your thoughts, because you're a fan, it's your team, obviously you guys won, obviously all the things, but I was just curious to know somebody else's opinion that was more inside the situation.
Yeah,
Because I'm at first I was like, no, we shouldn't have won it. But then as I kind of like took a step back and like watched
yeah,
the game a second time,
yeah.
watched highlights, and I was like, why didn't he win actually? so anyways, okay, but we'll just leave it at that. I was just kind of curious to know what somebody else would think. So tell me about you all's schedule. So I know obviously being in the division, playing the
Uh-huh.
49ers. Did you cheer for the 49ers in the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
No,
cool. Okay,
no. They're the
noted.
biggest ops. No.
Yeah, good to know. Well, listen, I cheated. I cheered for Lamar Jackson against the Chiefs because I like Lamar. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Steelers fans were like, I can't believe it. I'm like, I had to. Like, sorry. Actually, no, I'm
Lamar's
not
that
sorry.
dude. Like that's the
I'm
person
going for
you want
Lamar
to root
Jackson.
for. Yeah.
I hope he never beats my team, but everybody else, he can beat them. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
look, he deserves a Super Bowl.
yeah, I'm cheering for him. I don't care what anybody says. So how are you feeling this year in the division? I feel like, you have the Cardinals, you have the Seahawks. Obviously, I feel like the 49ers are the team right now that everyone's gunning for. But how do you feel like with the schedule, with your position, with the Rams? How do you feel like they compare to, the top team in the division?
I think it will always be head to head with the 49ers just based on we always have each other's numbers and
Okay.
it's always going to come down to the wire. And I feel like there's always excuses when the Rams win. It's like, "Oh, well, Debo's injured, he's banged up and oh, Jimmy G like okay, we won." But I just
Yeah.
feel like, that's going to be our most difficult task throughout the entire time in that division. And like I really don't take the Seahawks serious anymore. And like the Cardinals are always like the team that's like scary, like, okay, yeah, do your thing over there. And they always crash out. So I'm not really worried about them.
Okay,
So
fair.
it's always going to be 1 and 2 with the 49ers with me. And then always with us, it's going to come down to health for both teams. So I feel good
Yeah.
about our schedule though overall. Like the first month, I think, yeah, the first 5 games are going to be a little difficult though. Because we open up with Detroit, and obviously, we got to go get our lick back, golf versus Stafford. And then it's the Cardinals and 49ers, after that. So back-to-back division games. And then the Packers are a very scary team.
They're
Really
another one. Yeah,
young.
they're Packers are interesting.
Yeah,
They're an
they're a scary
interesting.
team. And and then we get a bye. So thank God. But it's like that first 5 weeks is going to be very interesting for the Rams. So I'm a little shaky there. But after the bye, I think we're clean slate. Everybody's healthy. We get that early bye, and we could just go on this, Super Bowl run.
Yeah. So you like early buys?
Kind of yes and no. In this
Okay.
situation, when you got like older veteran guys that are kind of coming out of camp a little banged up, get that early buy-in, and then let's reset and let's get together and get this ring.
Okay, that's fair. So that's the goal. So are you thinking do you think it's Super Bowl or bust, or do you think it's like we have to at least get in the playoffs?
I think I hate saying Super Bowl or bust, but
Yeah, because it's kind of dramatic, but
yeah, but I feel like last year, like if we didn't lose against Detroit, and I know I hate talking like this, if we didn't lose, but it was a great game. Shout out Jared Goff and Detroit, they earned it. I feel like we won that game. Nobody else is going to beat us. There was no way
okay.
other than Detroit, knocking us off that we were going to lose in the rest of that way. Like we were a better team than the Bills. We're a better team than the Eagles, better team than Mahomes and company, however they pulled that off. And the 49ers, they were scared of us. They didn't want to see us. So they're thanking the stars they didn't see us. So it's like, I think we were the most dangerous team in the playoffs because nobody had us making the playoffs. And then when we did, they're like, oh, God, no,
Yeah, what
please,
are we
somebody
doing
knock
these?
them off. Oh, Detroit got them. Thank you, God. And,
Yeah.
look how that came down. It was such a tough game to win.
Yeah. I feel you. That's how the Steelers are, right? Like no one talks about us ever. And then like the last 2 weeks, people are like, wait, how are they going to be in the playoffs? Well, I
Yeah.
hope we don't play them. Like,
Yeah, right. Like, hold up. What happened?
yeah, like what in the world are they doing over there? And we don't know what we're doing, but somehow we're just doing something. Um,
Something's working.
something's working. The other question I had is, so I'm in the AFC North. I understand a rival. I understand what it feels like. I understand what it means. I understand what the week means. I understand it.
Yeah.
Is the Rams 49ers week, is it intense? Like, is it like, how is that? Like, are you all rivals that like, do y'all talk trash to each other? If you have friends that are supporting that team, do you just
Yeah.
like don't talk to that friend that week? Like, what is that rival like? Because I don't feel like we get a good sense of it because I'm central, so I don't see it.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious to obviously I didn't prepare you for this question, but
No, that's
it just
fine.
crossed my mind. So I'm just curious.
I will say if you asked me this a couple years ago, you probably would have had a different answer. But now
Okay.
I kind of just been chilling, but it's still intense for a lot of
Okay.
people. Like if you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are, social media, there's constantly going to be Rams versus 49ers. There's Rams versus
Okay.
49ers today. Right now, I probably just left a chat on the timeline of like some type of battle and with that, but it's nonstop. But when it's game week, man, it's obnoxious. It's overwhelming if you're not ready for it. Like if you're
Yeah.
going in like let's go Rams, and then you get a bunch of 49ers commenting, you gotta be ready for battle and protect your team and your
Okay.
pride. But it's like it's definitely one of those rivalries that are probably never gonna die, and it's only increased because we won the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
there's that
And now the 49ers went and they lost the Super Bowl.
twice.
So there's that. And I have feelings about that, but I will let it go because I aired them again with my 49ers.
Yeah.
I'm like, anyways. So what else would you like us to know about the Rams? Like, what is something about the Rams? I don't know. We would be shocked to know, or that isn't often talked about, or something that you kind of know because it's your squad, it's your team.
Yeah.
Who like I'm by the way, I could have this conversation forever because I'm telling you, I don't often get this type of information from really most teams on the West Coast.
Yeah. I mean, more so the running game is not being talked about enough. Like I mentioned, us adding to that O line. I think people need to understand this running game that you saw last year. Like Kyron Williams led the league in rushing yards per game. And I think people need to understand, even if we get a healthy Kyron Williams now with Blake Corum, this run game is going to be a powerhouse that people are going to
Okay.
have to stop. I mean, the 1-2 punch between them two, you're going to have a nightmare trying to figure out who's doing what and what you can do to stop it. So, like, you have Blake Corum that was an amazing running back. All of FBS last year in college, this guy was the number one red zone running back. So when it
Yeah.
gets to that 20 and it gets inside the 10 and 5, he is a guy that's possibly going to find the end zone. He put up a ton of touchdowns last year. And it's like, it doesn't get talked about enough right now that our running game is probably going to be one of the scariest running games going into this next season.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 49ers, did you hear that?
Yeah, stop it. Try to stop it.
It's like mirror images of each other,
Yeah.
which is always an interesting thing. And so I just have just a question about McVay.
Mhm.
Um, what is he like? Like, is he like an interview guy? Does he give you all like good sound bites?
Oh,
What
yeah.
type of head coach is he? Like, I see him on big games, right? Like a Monday
Yeah.
Night Football or whatever. And we played you all last year, so I was able to like see a little bit more of him because
Yeah.
of that. But what is he like with the media or just like day to day? Like, what
Yeah.
type of coach is he?
He's definitely great with the media. He always gives like funny sound bites, here and there. Him and Les Snead are the 1 and 2 punch, when they get together. There's always like Les Snead with the dad jokes, like the corny little jokes, and McVay's like, like I think,
Okay.
McVay has a lot of fun with Les Snead. And I think that's what makes all this work with the team, like they have great chemistry together and like it shows in interviews, like they genuinely like each other, like they work hand in hand with every step of the way of decision making when it comes to the team. So
Oh, that's
like he
awesome.
gives like a lot of like little zingers here and there. Like he's a funny guy. Like I can't wait
Okay.
until he retires, hopefully not anytime soon, but
Right.
he leaves and he ends up in the booth. Like I can't wait to hear him calling some of these games because this dude is a genius. Like he has the
Yeah, like
memory of an elephant. Like it's
yeah.
crazy.
And that's the thing. I've heard those sound bites, right? Like I said, all the things that like go viral, I've
Yeah.
seen them. But again, one of the reasons why I want to do this because I don't feel like the NFL does a great job of like letting us know the teams. I feel
Yeah.
like we get like the billboard and the thing, and it's like no, but like what are they
What are their
like? Like
personality? Yeah.
what's the weather there?
Yeah.
Just like give us something else because it's
Yeah.
like again, my team's Pittsburgh. I know what the weather is going to be like. It's dreary, it's raining, it's cold,
Yeah.
but like it's LA. Tell me about LA. And I just
Yeah.
don't think that we hear a lot about it. But well, cool. I won't ask you any other questions, but I would love if I know you said at the beginning like where people can find you.
Yeah.
But I would love to just for you to repeat that again, or if there's anything else that you also involved in that you want people to know about. I obviously stalked you on Twitter, so I found you there. But is there anything else that you'd want people to know where to find you so they could hear more about like what you're saying and more about the
Yeah.
Rams?
Yeah, well, if you're into fantasy football, I cover that with NFL Fantasy at NFL Network, and I have a podcast every Wednesday, 10 a.m. You guys can check it out when we put it up, and that'll be on Apple, that'll be on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And then on Thursdays at noon, sometimes 10 a.m., but noon, we try to do a show called NFL Cheat Sheet, where we just go live and engage with people in the chat, and they put questions in there, we answer them. It's very interactive. It's fun. And like, we're kind of not like all suit and tie, like focused on, we're kind
Yeah.
of laid back and like kind of just hanging out, talking football. And sometimes like we were just talking about which Spider-Man will win in a fight last week. Like that's not football
Okay, so it's just like
whatsoever.
hang out.
Yeah.
It's just
So
yeah, I like
it's
that.
kind of like a laid back show where we kind of just talk about what we want to talk about and like just have fun with it. So you guys can check that out on YouTube at, the NFL Fantasy, and it's also on NFL.com. So definitely check it out.
Nice. So can I ask the question? How is it working for the NFL Network?
Yeah, it's great. I'm getting a lot of opportunities right now, and my actual title is an editorial researcher. So I
Okay.
basically give the notes and information to the analysts and hosts and stuff like that. And on the
Oh,
side is where I
cool.
do the NFL fantasy stuff, where I help out in that department. I do like little like short videos on the NFL fantasy app during the season. So if you have the NFL app, you can see me, do short videos throughout the season, telling you who to start, who to sit, and player news and stuff like that as well.
I love that. I love all NFL stuff. I'm a businesswoman, so I love the business side of it that I
Okay.
feel like we don't often see because it's an engine, and
Yeah.
without the engine, it doesn't operate the same way. So we need the
Mhm.
engine feeding us
Yeah.
information and
Yes.
data. So that's helpful. Well, again, I appreciate you just like responding back to me, being
Yeah.
willing to talk to me. Not thinking I was a crazy. Well, you might think I'm crazy, and that's
No.
fine. It's fine. It's
Stop,
really
stop.
fine. I'm okay with that. But seriously, like
Yeah.
I always say that if we all just like would open our minds and open our hearts to like people we don't know and just see what maybe we could know
Yeah.
about them or what we could learn. So I just appreciate you taking the time and being willing to do this because you didn't have to. So just
Absolutely.
know I appreciate you. tremendously. And yeah, so just thank you for like taking the time and being on time, because you know how that goes.
Absolutely.
You know how that goes. I'm not going to say anything, but you know how that goes.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. Like anytime I'll come back if we want to do an update and talk Rams, like that would be great.
Yeah, okay. I would actually love that, because I'm actually, like I said, I could have this conversation forever, because what I do is like, I'm like, yeah, a woman talking sports, but like I like live this crap. Like I am, and like I am all
I see the
in.
passion. I see the
Yes,
passion.
and so the more I can learn about other people's teams and what you're talking about, and like you said, the run game, I never would have even thought about that, because again, I don't hear it. So it's like this almost is like a cheat sheet way for me to kind of see what else people are saying and what should I know? Like tell me so I can go learn it.
Exactly.
So
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely talk again. And like I said, we have each other on Twitter. So I'll probably be in comments being like, wait, what? What did you say? And I know you're doing like your top 5. I don't know when this episode will be released, but you're doing like your top 5 steals.
I got undervalued players out right now on rotoballer.com. That's also on the YouTube as well. And then I got a couple more videos coming out next week.
There it is. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I'm all in. I'm like, yes. Feed me. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course.